In March of 2017, I obtained a recorded conversation where I directly asked my mother if she drugged me with codeine, a narcotic, so that my father could sexually assault me, and her response was, yeah. The next question I asked her is if she did it to sedate me so she didn't have to deal with me. And her direct response to that question, without remorse, was, yeah. Before that conversation, I said, you think this is a joke? And she said, Kay, you are a joke. I still have those recordings today. I will probably never delete them. That same year, my ex-husband had an extra nebulizer. I have asthma. A nebulizer is a machine that creates a mist with a drug called albuterol to open up the airways in the lungs so that anyone with respiratory issues can breathe better. And my ex-husband gave my mother this nebulizer knowing that I needed it. And my mother knew I needed the nebulizer. She then sent things to me through my ex-husband and sent the albuterol, the medication that is administered through the nebulizer. She sent the medication to me knowing she had the nebulizer that I needed. This was a direct attempt by my mother and my ex-husband to jeopardize my health. In the process of doing this, they also jeopardized the health of our younger son because he also had asthma. Fortunately, there was a retired doctor that I knew from my childhood, and he and his wife had an extra nebulizer. And I was able to meet him down the street at Walgreens and pick up the nebulizer. And that nebulizer kept me from ending up in the hospital with pneumonia and kept my toddler out of the ER from a serious asthma attack. The other significance of the recorded conversation about my mother is that my father was a Methodist minister. He was a Methodist minister that had been employed by the Northwest Texas Conference. It's no longer the Northwest Texas Conference, but that was the former name. And he was a Methodist minister at a small church in Groom, Texas, and also in Stinnett, which is in the Panhandle. And in 1986, my father became employed by the Texas Annual Conference. And his first assignment in the Texas Annual Conference was Carlisle and Henry's Chapel. After the recording, I had consulted with an attorney after I had the recording of my mother admitting to drugging me so that my father could sexually assault me. I had consulted with an attorney, Harrison Fisher, to file a lawsuit against the Texas Conference, which I will go into further later. During, in 2018, I'm trying to remember, and I'm trying not to be all over the place as I tell the story. In 2018, we had a custody trial. It was a custody trial that my ex-husband dragged out. On April 1st, 2019, I directly asked my ex-husband why he did not feel that our children would be safe with me. My ex-husband told me that he could not explain why he did not feel that our children would be safe with me. His response to that question was, I can't explain that. He also proceeded to ask me if I was at the custody trial that he had the courts order me to be present at. This is the same man that told the court that I was mentally ill. He stated to the court that I did not have a relationship with my family because I was mentally ill. I actually did not have a relationship with my family as a means to protect my mental health, because my family supported my mother and was angry because I exposed my mother for drugging me so that my father could sexually assault me. Unfortunately, my family felt that I should be loyal to a woman who was willing to put my life in danger by drugging me with a narcotic with the intent to harm me and make me sick, and also so that my father could sexually assault me. I chose not to have a relationship with her, and I chose to expose her, which is what she deserved. During the custody trial, my ex-husband told the court that I was mentally ill. He also told the court that I had deteriorating mental health. He did not provide any evidence to the court proving his armchair psychiatric diagnosis of my mental health. Somehow, he feels that with his electrical engineering degree, that he is an expert on mental health. He asked me if I was at the custody trial. And he also asked me if I remembered what was said. The reason why he asked me if I remembered what was said during our custody trial is simply because he did not remember what was said. So instead, he asked me because he didn't want to admit to me that he could not remember what was said at the custody trial. So he asked a woman that he told the court was mentally ill what was said at the custody trial. During the custody trial, he blurted on the stand as an outburst because he was being cross-examined by my attorney that was representing me at the time. He had an outburst and stated that I had dropped our youngest child on his head twice. There was not any evidence submitted into court based on his accusation. There was not an investigation. There were not any CPS reports based on his allegation. There were also not any police reports based on his allegation. During this time, I did not know until the last day of court that my ex-husband wanted me in supervised visitation. In 2019, my ex-husband admitted to me that the reason why I was in supervised visitation was because I did not give him what he wanted in mediation. In mediation, my ex-husband wanted me to turn over custody of our children to him, and that I could have standardized visitation. And I refused to turn over custody. They told me that when I went to court, that Judge Prine on the 246th bench of the Harris County Civil Courthouse would take the kids away from me. I said at the mediation, based on what? And they did not give me a reason. Well, that is exactly what happened. Judge Prine awarded my ex-husband custody. The attorneys involved, Emily Hall, Kelly Fritch, who was the ad litem, the amicus, the attorney that was appointed by the court for the children, and Elsie Martin Simon, who was representing me. They all knew that my ex-husband had a history of being abusive to our kids and to myself, and that he had also been reported repeatedly for physical abuse of our children, particularly our older son. The last day of court, I was ordered supervised visitation. I will continue this tomorrow.